it's real.
No, I know that is her love real?
Just because you chose this for her doesn't make it less real.
Hey, hi guys, I'm Sunset. So I guess I watched the movie Obsession this weekend, and I just have so many thoughts about this movie. I want to start by saying that the movie was so good, probably like my favorite movie of the year so far. Not even gonna lie, as far as horror movies goes, I've seen a couple horror movies. I saw Hokum. I saw Backrooms, really enjoyed that. I saw They Will Kill You, Help Me. I saw a lot of different movies, horror movies specifically too, but Obsession just really hit me in a different way. It was so good. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Imagine you get the option to be stuck into a house with either man or bear. But whichever one you choose, the caveat is you have to basically satisfy whichever decision you make until they want you to leave, until it's done. And you will know. And so you pick bear, but then you get into the house and immediately realize that it was a trick because it's a man named Bear. And you just feel deceived. That's what the movie Obsession feels like to me. Like, that's what it feels like. I don't know if my analogy makes sense, but it really does. It really does. I feel like Bear overall is just a really good example of a nice guy. And even from the beginning, you just see, you feel like for him, he seems just like he's an awkward guy. He just seems really cool. He seems chill. He seems nice, but you can tell immediately that he doesn't have a lot of backbone. He's not very honest. When people are asking him questions about stuff like about the cat and her trying to see, oh, what's wrong? Why don't you want to come out? He kind of forced himself to go out, even though he didn't really want to. He said no, but he still went out anyway. It really feels like he's a nice guy, and you see, like, it just getting to meet him, you just see like he's just an awkward guy. He's just so cool. He's da-da-da. But it felt like throughout the movie and at the end of the day, he didn't really care about Nikki at all. We see him say he's in love with her. We see him break down this whole speech that he wants to give to her, and it was a decent speech. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little corny. I feel like he could have cut around it and it still would work. Which I have thoughts about his speech and his friend after, but throughout the movie, you see that he doesn't actually love or care for Nikki the way he claims to be in love or care for her. After the while, and he notices that there's something wrong with Nikki, it doesn't really change whether or not he really wants to be with her. It feels like when Nikki is stripped down from every single aspect of her personality that he actually liked, that he still wants to be with her, even though this is not the person he so-called loves or fell in love with, just so he can F something that resembles Nikki. And that's when it's really like, are you really in love with this person, or are you infatuated with her? Like, are you just sexually attracted to her so much so that you don't care what it takes to be able to sleep with this person? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's how it feels to me personally. I feel like the scene that solidified, I feel like a lot of people talk about the scene where she speaks to him, the actual Nikki speaks to him, as like being the moment where Bear became a bad person to them. But I feel like mine's happened a lot sooner. And I will say I can understand why he believed that it was her. After they had their weird interaction that first night, and she comes back with this story of, oh, I took a little Molly, or I took a little bit of a drugs, and I was just tripping, and that Nikki, that other one that came to him that door, it felt real. It felt like a good excuse, and I won't blame him for anything that happens after that, because it did feel it felt a little out of nowhere, but it made sense. It was when they were at dinner, the dinner scene, where his friend calls and he's like, Nikki's lying about her dad having cancer. He doesn't have cancer. I called, I made sure. She's acting weird. He's gonna talk to him about her acting weird in his behavior. And he starts to get these flashes of the night that he made the wish. And that is when he understands that the wish he made came true. That is when he understands it. And so when they go back to talking and he's like, hey, did you lie about your dad? And she starts flipping out and acting crazy. He should have known there, like, this is not okay, this is not right. And I think he did know there. That immediate scene after, like, they're talking at dinner or whatever, he finds out that his wish came true. He understands it. Boom. Next scene, cut to them sleeping together. When I tell you, it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. You're really registering that this is a form of sexual assault. Literally. We can call it what it is. I'm not going to say it on here, but that was so uncomfortable. And not even just how she looks, but the cut of him realizing that something's off about this person. I caused it to happen, but I'm going to go F her tonight. It was so uncomfortable. And to even think about her snapping in and out of consciousness, that was done so well. I absolutely love how they did that. You can really see this movie did something completely different with the possession genre. You wouldn't even know that it's a possession movie until you watch it, honestly. I feel like I've seen a lot of people do the trope of they make a wish, and the girl, I wish this girl was in love with me, and the person's in love, and they just kind of go a little crazy, or it's just like really, really extreme. I've seen examples of like that. I think the one that comes to mind, I don't know if you guys ever seen My Babysitter's a Vampire, where he uses like some type of magic to make them fall in love with them, but then like the pendulum swings, and so everything, all the love that they felt for them for that day, it has to be equalized. So in the equilibrium for the next day, they hate them as much as they love them. So and they're like vampires, so they were trying to kill them. So I've seen it done in different ways, but this to actually show a type of possession was so fascinating to me. And to me, I felt like Nikki the entire movie was in like the sunken place, like in Get Out, where she's very aware and conscious of everything that's going on, which makes it so much worse. And it makes it so much more like terrible and miserable for her, because she's experiencing everything. She's experiencing everything she doesn't want to do. She's experiencing all these sexual scenes. She's experiencing this life that she never wanted to live with this person. It makes it so much more terrifying. Everything that happens, especially after the first time you see Nikki snap into consciousness after doing something she didn't want to do. And it was the scene where they are making out that night, and it seemed like it was going to go further, and she starts screaming and backing away, and then he snaps. She's like, oh no, everything's fine. Like, me imagining like her like inner thoughts and inner monologues for the rest of the movie is what's terrifying. It's like, oh, she's literally trapped in somebody else's body and she can't do anything about it. And she's trapped in her own body, and somebody else is driving, and she literally can't do anything about it. So that, honestly, I feel like that was one of the most disturbing scenes for me for some reason. Literally, that him realizing that, okay, she's under the spell, and you see her try to get out from that spell in some points, and then you snapped to them having sex. It was uncomfortable. It was so, and it was like, he doesn't care. That's when I'm like, he does not give two shits about her. He doesn't care about her. He really doesn't. He never did. He manufactured a type of consent. And then I want to talk about the actual scene that people really just call Bear the bad guy. It's kind of like set in stone. It's very obvious that he is. So when Bear is leaving to get up in the middle of the night to go see Sarah, the entity is asleep and Nikki is awake. She's talking to him. She's like, take me out. Take me out. I don't want to be here anymore. He's begging him. And his response is, what's so bad about being with me? Like, the selfishness, the ridiculousness, the fact that he's like registering, maybe it's not even about you. Maybe it's that I'm trapped in my own body and I have no free will. I can't do anything. I'm literally being controlled. I'm literally being possessed. And you're worried about yourself. That was the most selfish response that they could have ever written from him. And it was done so well. It was done so well. And at that point, he deserved everything that came to him after that point. When this person is literally begging for her, begging to not be in this world because it is that bad. And it's not even about you necessarily, although you are the cause of this, but the person has no free will. They cannot move. They cannot talk. They cannot walk. They cannot do anything that they want. Their dreams, their hopes, their life, their future is gone because I have no control of my body. She's hurting herself. She's hurting other people. She's acting erratic. You know, she's never going to see her family again. The friends she wants to see, like, they think she's crazy. And his response is, what's so bad about being with me? Well, I can name a couple of things, honestly. There's a lot of things bad about being with you, but, him deciding that he was the most important thing in that moment, and that he took it personally. He took it personally that she didn't want to live. And the thing is, he never even decided, he never even got to find out what was so bad about being with him, or if she did or didn't want to be with him, because at the end of the day, he never even asked her out. You want to be with somebody, didn't even have the guts to ask her out. You never know what would have happened. But honestly, Bear is just a terrible, terrible person. I mean, can we really think about it? He was selfish to the end, and he was selfish in the fact of how Sarah died as well. Because if we're going to be honest, your super crazy, jealous, possessed girlfriend is asleep, and you decide to sneak out in the middle of the night to go see a girl that she and you know likes her, and you thought that was a safe decision. That's not a good decision even if she wasn't possessed, but you decided to do it. Like, do you see? Like, so you could be selfish in a sense. And I get that he said no at first, but maybe you should try a little bit harder if your girlfriend's freaking crazy and possessed and literally stabbed herself in the face like the other night. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't even try. You didn't even try. So then towards the end of the movie, when he realizes he can't take his wish back or anything, first of all, why didn't he talk to Nikki on the phone when the thing was like, oh, do you want to talk to Nikki? And she was screaming. Like, he could have I really so badly wanted to know what that conversation would have looked like if he could have talked to her then, her inner self, which, I mean, he was probably just gonna be like, oh, yes, what's so bad about me with me? Whatever, anyway. But towards the end, he was a bitch to the end. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't ask her out when she asked her blatantly, even though he just talked up all this game. And he couldn't take himself out when that's when he had to do. And she gave him the easy out. She said, you don't even have to off yourself off me. And he didn't want to do that, but then he decided to, take himself out, which was the right choice because you caused this. And he chickened out. What I didn't realize, and what someone had to tell me later, is that Nikki was out there making a wish. I didn't register it, but she was making a wish while he was in the bathroom. And if her wish didn't get granted and he didn't immediately fall in love with her, he was gonna throw those pills up, and he would have been a pussy to them. We're just gonna say he really was. He was literally his cat. He died in the same way his cat did as well. I think that's some symbolism. I don't know. So I just feel like that's kind of like, I just feel that all around about to him just being such a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Why doesn't he deserve the girl? But what did he do to deserve the girl? What did he do to get the girl? Did he court her? Did he ask her out? Did he do anything? No, he took the easy way out, and then he didn't care about her well-being, her wants, desires, dreams, or anything, her consent. He didn't care about any of that. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to F her. He wanted to play happy family. Another important thing that the movie does is there's another person that's actually interested in Bear, and she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. This other person genuinely has a crush on him. And Nikki's like, hey, what do you think about her? Like, and he's just like, oh, well, we're just friends, da, da, da. And that's fine. You don't have to be with anybody you don't want to be with. But the fact that he had a perfectly viable, beautiful person interested in him, and he just didn't even see her as an option. He just wanted what he wanted, which was Nikki, even though he wasn't doing anything to get her, and she also just kind of said she didn't want to be with him. It's like he just wanted what he wanted, and he was going to get it at the end of the day. It didn't matter what anybody else wanted. Do you see what I'm saying? Another thing I want to touch on. His friend, Ian, can we talk about the fact that he was effing Nikki this whole time, but he's the one who still kept telling him, like, oh, what are you going to say to her? Like, what are you going to say? He's kind of like talking him up a little bit. Like, this dude is really pouring out his heart about this girl, and he's just like, yeah, you should tell her. Like, you're effing her. I know he didn't want to know, but like, is that even, like, as a friend, you're trying to tell him to pursue the girl that you're sleeping with? Like, it seems real backwards. And then when he like poured out his heart, it was a little corny, I'm not gonna lie. I think overall it really was heartfelt and sweet, and I think it would have worked to some extent to get whatever you wanted across. The friend was really not a good friend, because he's literally like, call her Freaky Nikki or whatever he said. He's trying to set him up for failure. You told him to call that girl something that she was bullied for, that she doesn't like, and then he did it. Like, oh my gosh, like, he told him to scrap every nice thing that he said just so he can say something to make her feel bad, so his chances were even less. But why not just tell her that you're interested in the girl, and maybe none of this would have happened and everything would have been off the table. Like, the friend was not a good friend, not a good friend at all. At all. And even the next night, he's like, "Oh, did you sleep with her? Did you sleep with her?" Knowing he's screwing this girl. Like, it's so weird. Like, the way that he kind of like was not being a good friend to him. But then let's talk about the fact that it's interesting how much of the victim he is and how much of the victim that he plays himself to be. He definitely seems like the victim in the beginning, like, oh, like lost puppy dog, sad, oh, awkward, nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And throughout the movie, when everyone is registering that Nikki is kind of being weird, she's kind of jumped into this relationship. They're like, she's taking advantage of you. I want to make sure you're okay. Like, da 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 da. Nikki is the real victim in this situation, but everyone is jumping to Bear's defense, like he's the victim, like she's the one that's doing something wrong, and he's leaning into it. He's just letting it happen. He's really not clearing it up as much as she could, and it's so interesting how everyone assumes that he's the victim, and it's because that's the role he plays. He kind of plays like this defenseless puppy that, you know, is the victim and needs to be saved, and he's just never wrong. And oh my gosh, like, that's how these things, they like suck the soul. Like, they want pity. It reminds me of Jerry. From Rick and Morty. Like, it's giving Jerry, if we really think about it. It's giving Jerry. But the end, I really enjoyed how it ended. I love that the Wish Willow, it just works. Like, the dude asked for $1 million or however much he asked for, and it was such a real thing to do. I did think I felt a little hard for him to not believe that something was off about it, or if he's coming to him so seriously, that he just wouldn't, like, at least listen to him, especially if he's recognized that Nikki's acting so weird and he's been the one pointing it out too. I get the, hey, I wish for $1 million, blah, blah, blah. That makes sense. Why wasn't he not more willing to kind of like consider this for real? I also thought it was weird. We get a jump cut, after he asks for the money, he wishes for the money, to Bear going to the house. And then that's when Ian also knocks on the door and he gets shot. But why? It's like we didn't get to see, and it makes sense story-wise, but we didn't get to see what happens after the money. It would seem like they would have had a conversation. Why does it just jump to like him being at home and then him following him? Like, it seemed like if they had something to say to each other, like he was trying to run after him, like, I believe you, that it would have just happened the scene before. I would say that's my only like gripe with that. But if Bear just decided to run out, that, I guess that could have made sense, but we really just didn't see that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like those were just like all my thoughts about this movie. It was just so good. I feel like there's so much more to be said. You can talk about how I feel like there's so many aspects of really just someone completely taking advantage of somebody's body and manufacturing the consent that he did. It was heartbreaking, those scenes of him just imagining all the times that they slept together, and it was just not her choice, and she never consented to that. But she's fully conscious. She's fully conscious to all the things she did. She's fully conscious when she murdered somebody. She's fully two people. Like, she's fully conscious of her sitting for hours in her own urine and throw up. And he was just okay with that. He really was. He was okay with it for so long. It took a lot for him to finally call that number and be like, hey, something's wrong. Or even try to counteract the wish. It's all that really just shows how much he just didn't care about her. He really didn't. And if we think about it, who was really obsessed with him? He was obsessed with her. He was obsessed with being with her, no matter what it took. No matter that his friend was pointing out that they were in a very unhealthy relationship and that he couldn't even go out without his girlfriend. And we can even see that in those scenes where it's like he knows. He likes to play that everything's okay, but he knows when things are wrong. He's literally freaked out in the middle of the night. She's going crazy. She's not acting like Nikki. He keeps telling her to act like Nikki. Just act like Nikki. he knew that something was wrong. He knew that she wasn't herself. He knew that this was something or somebody else. And he knew that he didn't want to bring her out in public for real. He didn't want to. When he brought her out in front of other people, he knew that the illusion would start to fall, because there's no way that you can hide that. There's no way you can hide how crazy she's acting, or that she's saying these weird things, or that she's screaming at people and yanking people from their chairs because he's sitting next to her boyfriend and they get a dare or something. You know, like, he really put a lot of people in danger, and he allowed her to go out and act and be however, knowing that she was not in her right mind. I would love to see more of this universe. I don't know if they ever would, but a Wish Willow movie, I feel like they could explore that in different ways. Maybe they'll make another movie in the universe and somebody wishes for something else. I completely love what they did with this movie, and this movie actually reminds me a lot of Talk to Me, which was also made by a YouTuber as well. And the movie Talk to Me explored possession in a different way as well. And I feel like a lot of people always say like, you know, people do the same things with the possession trope over and over and over again. And I was like, well, what else can you do with it? What else can you do with it? But seeing movies like Obsession and seeing movies like Talk to Me, where you really see like that it's possession, but you don't really. It's a whole different way that you kind of don't even realize it until you realize it. I think Talk to Me specifically, having the possession be almost like a high, and they're doing it for fun, and then you explore the dangers and the parallels to drugs. That's an interesting way to explore possession, and this being a parallel to relationships, consent, you know, sexual assaults in ways like that's such a fascinating thing to do, and I just loved how they did it. So yes, that's all my thoughts. I hope you guys watch the movie, and see you guys later. Bye.